I can't be sent over a conversation with the DQ lead, bro. The acknowledgement so far sounds like force. The tonality isn't there. It doesn't sound like you're actually trying to speak to them. When people can figure out small talk, they're gonna fall off. I'm not even gonna review this conversation, bro. This is like a waste of time. The actual lowest leverage when you are a setter is to set. You're the person who brings in the money. Without a setter, they're not gonna get book calls. Without any book calls, they're not gonna get any sales. The main question that's missing here is what have you done so far? And if they say I haven't done anything yet, how come? What am I saying and what am I asking? Is it challenging something? Is it building curiosity? Is it striking an emotion? Make sure you're not spending fucking 18 hours inside the DMs doing nothing, because that's not gonna solve anything. We're just being a lazy setter. You're wasting your time.
Yo, what's up, man?
Yo, you're right, man.
Seeing you, bro.
I'm seeing you, bro.
Yo, what's up, bro? What's up? What's up, man? You guys are trolling.
Why is he so long?
This is what happens when you put new people into the camera, bro. They get camera shy. You start turning red and everything. Welcome to the first Siteco presentation IRL. What's up, what's up? Okay, since 3 of you guys here right now are all into B2B, what we're gonna be talking about is, we have one person that is in B2B, one that just started out in B2B, and one that is going into B2B. So we're gonna go through basically 4 main things. We're gonna be going through what to do in the first 7 days on a roll, understanding the fundamentals of what B2B actually is. We're going to be talking about, the actual fundamentals of what B2B setting is behind every single thing that we do, not just in terms of the conversations that we're having, but what we need to put in terms of inputs and tracking. And then we're also going to be doing some convo reviews from your 2 conversations, one from Jaden, one from Senna, towards the end of the actual presentation. What to do in the first 7 days on a roll. We have framework building, outbound control and lead tracking, warming up with leads, volume control, consume as much value as possible, and constant communication with the offer holder. Just like how a business runs, the first 24 hours of a client joining inside your business is the most important part of a business because it shows all of the fulfillment they're going to give in those first 24 hours. That instantly controls the lifetime value of how long your actual customer stays working with you, right? It's the same thing with an offer holder. You want to make sure you're staying in this team long term, and there's multiple things that you have to do by not only wrapping up yourself, warming up your setting process, and making sure that you know exactly what to do within the first 7 days. So now you've been inside your offer holder for what, 6 days now?
Yeah, about 6 days.
So these are multiple things that you should be already be ticking down, especially and get it done by tomorrow, basically. All right, first things first, outbound control. Outbound control and lead tracking is the most important thing. Why? Because when you get onto an offer, maybe someone they haven't set in maybe 2 months. If you instantly start ripping out volume in terms of 50 outbounds, the actual account is gonna get suspended. And I'm telling you this from experience, right? We had a B2B person come in, we put in a setter, we started ripping out outbounds and it got suspended and some of them even fully suspended. So not like 2 days, but a complete termination and we had to contact Instagram and everything. So the main things that I would go through first is slowly increasing your volume of outreach and follow-ups to reduce risk of suspension. What does this mean? Instead of doing outreaches in your first 3 days, what you should be doing is you should be going through the following and seeing what type of people you're going to outreach to. Make a list of exactly 100, maybe even 200 of visually qualified leads that you can speak to when you are starting to ramp up the volume of outreach for the next week, right? 100 visually qualified. This means people who are ICP. Obviously for you guys, maybe coaches, maybe people who already run personal brands, like for you, Senna, right? All of these people, we put them down inside our Notion lead tracker, and we know not only the sales cycle when they followed us, but at the same time, we know what type of niche they're in, right? And when we start doing this, we already have a list within the 3 days. When we are warming up the DMs, we're not just wasting time, right? And if you show this to the offer holder within the first 3 days, they're gonna fucking love you. Next, warming up with the leads. Obviously, you're inside a new DM. It's kind of like the first time you're going inside the house. You wanna check the rooms, you wanna check the doors, where's the toilet, right? This is the thing that we have to be doing. What are the leads that we're speaking to? We're making sure that we understand what type of leads are inside the DMs. Are they warm? Are they cold? How nurtured are they? Are they willing to open up or not? So you review the conversations that are already existing and continue the conversations with the leads that the offer holder is already having, right? Understand when they're asking specific questions, are they opening up? Or does it take a longer period of time during report or a lot of report in order to actually bring up the pain digging? And one of the things that you guys have to be doing is you take a look at the past conversations that the offer holder was having so you know what type of framework do I have to build out for this offer? And obviously we have the framework building and Miro. I've told you guys so many times to start building out a Miro. Why? Because when you get onto an offer, you need to know exactly how to review your conversations, how to build out a framework and tweak your framework to make sure that it's perfect for the offer that you're on. Yes, we give you a B2B framework, but that doesn't work with every single offer, right? So it's easier and more understandable to understand the leads that you're speaking to, the culture that they have. Maybe they're Australian, like for you, AG. If they're Australian, they maybe speak differently, or the mannerisms are different, or the culture is different, right? We had a case where we were speaking to Indonesians inside DMs, and what we tend to see compared to the Western world is that they don't open up. They don't want to talk about the finances. They don't want to talk about their business problems. So how do we tackle that? And this is obviously a case of what you guys should be building inside the first week of when you're getting onto an offer. We have two B2B cases here. Yes, they are similar, but in terms of tonality, in terms of how hard we question is completely different to the one from above and the one underneath, right? Even though they're selling the same thing, scaling offers, the actual framework is completely different other than the structure. The questioning is different. How long we keep in the report stage, how long we move into pain digging, what questions are we doing in pain digging is completely different. Obviously, I don't have to say this, like again, constant communication with your offer holder. If you're not speaking to your offer holder, how do you know how to speak like him, right? You should be consistently texting him like hours and hours or even calling him every single day. Next, consume as much value as possible. This is very, very important. If you guys haven't watched the videos that your offer holder is actually making or the group calls inside his community, how do you know how to exactly speak like him and provide the same value that he provides, right? A case where it is based off my experience. We always teach content as part of top of funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel, right? That might not be the case inside your offer holder. When we spoke with the B2B girl from Germany, she doesn't say top of funnel. She says stage 4 or middle funnel. She says stage 4 nurturing, whatever. And we wouldn't have known that if we didn't watch her videos, if we didn't see what she actually preaches, right? And again, volume control, and then that's it for in terms of the first 7 days. Do you guys have any questions?
No, bro, that's pretty straightforward.
What have you done? Have you started lead tracking?
I have started lead tracking. I need to go back through my Miro.
I think you have to understand that the actual lowest leverage when you are a setter is to set, right? Don't focus too much on the conversations because, you know, that's what every other setter does, right? If you want to be doing a lot better, if you want to be making that 5K month as a setter, you have to be doing more than just setting, right? Tracking the data. Like I told you, tracking the outbounds that you haven't been doing, right? Going through the lead trackers, making sure you have a list of people who are visually qualified and not speaking to people that are from third world countries. Because that's stupid, that's just wasting your time.
Yeah.
So how does like the first 7 days differ if there is two siders, there's going to be a transition period?
I think the best way to do it is obviously follow your manager. But me as a manager, this is the same in terms of the ramp up phase. We start you off doing the minimum in terms of doing the outbounds or starting to figure out the leads. You start from the very lowest until you only get into the actual conversations when you understand the leads, right? It's a lot slower, but it's the same thing. You take a look at the old conversations, you take a look at the frameworks, you take a look at the other setters' conversations and which ones worked and which ones didn't. Then after that, you slowly get to every stage of the conversation, whether it's, you know, doing the outbounds or doing the follow-ups, and then you move into starting with the report and then giving away the pain digging. These are the stuff that you have to do so you get, you know, acclimatized from, you know, the actual conversations and understand how it goes, right? Every culture is different, every offer is different. You might be setting, you already did really well in the setting, you made like fucking 2.2K in the first 2 weeks, but the actual nature of the conversations are completely different. These conversations might be a lot slower, a lot longer, because B2B conversations, like you can tell from the conversations that we reviewed, the sales cycles might be 6 months, bro. It's not like new follower we instantly pitch, because that what usually happens is because it's so high ticket, they're probably not gonna close, right? It's a lot slower process inside B2B. Everything is a lot slower and a lot more detailed because we are working with business owners, right? We're not just selling to people who want to make money online, right? They understand how the sales systems work. They understand, you know, the prices it takes, right? And if your offer holder isn't providing enough value, then they're not going to be nurtured enough to sell in the DMs, right? And that's when we go into understanding the fundamentals of what B2B setting is. First of all, you have to understand, what does your offer do, right? If I ask you right now, tell me in a sentence, what does your offer do?
He builds up cinematic personal brands for businesses.
Okay, so how is it different to other personal brands? Personal branding B2Bs. See, that should be something that already comes up,
Yeah.
right? His difference is that he has a cinematic stage, right? He sells people not just about posting out content, but he teaches them how to use the camera, right? That's the difference, right? What's his ICP?
So ICP are businesses who want to grow their audience on social media.
But that's so vague, right?
Sure.
ICP is not vague, right?
Alright, okay.
If you actually speak, who are you actually targeting? Their age, where they come from, what are their hobbies? How can we relate to them? The more the people we can relate with them, the increase of relatability, the easier we are gonna have in terms of having the conversations inside the DMs that we can book them in. Remember, what's the main thing inside a conversation? How do you book people in? What are the two main things?
So we need to find out that problem and build a rapport with them.
No, in terms of not just building, what is building rapport for?
To build a connection with them.
Yeah, and what is that? What's the point of that? Trust, right? Trust and incentive, right? Trust is a big thing. It's easier to build trust if you guys have the same values, same beliefs, and same hobbies, for example. Then you know what to do with the report. If you're just trying to find a connection with like shitty report, there's no point, right? You start asking about the weather, right? That's shit report. You talk about shit that actually matters. Things like hobbies that they have. Let's say you like boxing, right? If I were to get onto the DMs with you, I'd speak about boxing. I'd speak about how I did MMA. Because then we have some sort of connection. Now you're like, oh shit, you know, he's basically the same guy as me. Or I fuck with this guy, right? And that's the main point. That's what it is for. That's what we have to understand the ICP. We have to understand their hobbies. And we have to understand what can we talk about inside the DMs that relates with the lead. All right, these connections are very, very important. Like I said, importance is in the knowledge of the offer, understanding the solutions, the tonality when you speak inside the DMs, and reciprocating the lead energy. Feedback loop. Feedback loop is so important, especially as a B2B setter. I'm not even saying B2B, it's just a setter overall. Remember when I told you guys the lowest leverage thing that you can do is to set. This is the highest leverage because not only is it fixing the business's problems, it makes it easier for you as well, right? When we understand what content is performing and what content is bringing in ICP leads, we can start posting more of that. When you tell your offer holder which type of content are bringing the best quality leads, then we know we can post that more so we can have more of the ICP leads coming in, right? We understand, like, we have to understand, are the leads warm? If they're not warm, if they lack trust, what type of content should we be posting out to increase that trust? Like objections in the DMs. We're talking about, let's say, most of the leads have been with other coaches. So what do? We have specific objection handling videos to be posted by the offer holder. Next. Tracking data. Like I said, tracking sales cycles, right? What is a sales cycle? What's a sales cycle, AJ?
How long the lead is the sales process from initial contact to close?
Okay, what does that mean? If I were to track a lead inside the sales cycle right now, how would I know?
You look back to when the first touch point was.
Okay, what does that mean? What is the first touch point?
The first time they made contact with you.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to track, obviously, what type of content they came in, but we can track when that they follow. And that's how we track how long does it take to actually for someone to follow and then get onto a sales call and close, right? Tracking sales cycle and making sure we know exactly what to do to reduce that and see what's working, then we know what to do, right? We also have tracking outbound response rates, right? We have qualified lead tracking. We have follow-up and conversation tracking, and we review every single conversation so we can make small tweaks inside the framework, right? I'm gonna be talking about it later, but we know exactly when the leads fall off, right? And how can we change the framework to make sure that the leads don't fall off the next conversation? And this is one thing I feel like most people inside Seco is not doing, and they should change it. We have to think like a business owner. Remember, this whole idea that you're like the bottom of the pyramid, right? The setter. You guys are the lowest paid performer inside the actual team. That's not true, right? You're the person who brings in the money. Without a setter, they're not gonna get book calls. Without any book calls, they're not gonna get any sales, right? You're the first person that speaks to the leads. You are the most important person inside the business because you're acting like the offer holder. So start thinking like one, right? How do you speak? How much time do you waste inside the DMs talking about stupid shit? How many times do you speak in the DMs and try to convince people to join the program? That's not what an offer holder would do. If your offer holder is making $50K a month and they only have a few hours a day that's free, why would they be spending 6 hours in a day trying to convince someone to get on a call? It doesn't make sense. We always have to have the doctor-consultant mindset. What does that mean? We take a look at symptoms. We figure out their symptoms and we diagnose. We can't diagnose if we assume their symptoms because then we're gonna diagnose the wrong shit, right? This is what is the most important in terms of understanding the pain points and using probing questions to understand their problem deeper. Not only is that showing the lead that we are genuinely interested in helping them out, but we also get more clarity on their actual current situation, which is the most important part inside a B2B conversation, right? We want to give our sauce or our free information so specific that it can help them out, all right? The more free value you give, the better. right? You know the saying, jab, 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 right hook? It's the whole idea that you keep giving free information and keep giving it, and then one time you pitch them on a call, or you give them the offer, right? And that's how it's meant to be. Second, how do I get more info? Don't limit yourself to only benefiting off of things that can help with your setting. At the end of the day, the more knowledge you have about the offer, the more knowledge you have about the B2B shit, that's gonna help you out. For example, the Alex Hermozzi book that I showed you guys just now. Reading shit like that, watching videos from Jeremy Haynes is not gonna, instantly fix your setting, but it's gonna give you the knowledge to provide more information inside the DMs. And the more information you can provide that is a lot more tailored, the better the actual leads are gonna react. Same thing as what can I do more? What can I add to my setting or my knowledge to help me improve? When you guys are on B2B offers, you guys are gonna learn so much. You're gonna know exactly what the actual offer holder knows. How do you do that? You watch his resources, you get on his course, you join the group calls. You do all of these inputs to make sure you think, sound, and act like the offer holder. Stop thinking low leverage, right? Manage your time. Manage your time. Make sure you're not spending fucking 18 hours inside the DMs doing nothing, because that's not gonna solve anything. Because if you keep doing the wrong thing over and over again, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get better results. It's all about constant improvement and holding yourself accountable. Questions?
Yeah, so when figuring out your ICP, what are like kind of the questions you should be asking yourself?
You don't have to figure that out, right? You should be asking your offer holder what is his ICP. Sure. If you haven't yet, that's already a problem, okay, right? You have to understand as much as possible the actual, vision of the business. Remember, I keep talking about aligning yourself with the business to make sure that you guys are growing together, right? How can you do that if you don't even know the people that you're targeting? How can you sound like you're genuinely trying to help someone if you don't know who you're gonna help? It doesn't make sense. Ask your offer holder who the ICP is, because I'm sure they have a sheet of the people that they're targeting inside the content, okay? Because if not, then their content is shit. Generalized content equals generalized audience, right? If they're not targeting actual people or specific type of niche inside their content, your leads are gonna be disqualified. You're gonna be speaking to a lot of people who are gonna just waste your time. Okay, B2B setting in itself. You guys have seen this before, right? One of the things that I changed is understanding current situation. Before, we used to think that current situation and problem aware was the exact same thing, right? But I was talking about this with Seno. It doesn't make sense for current situation to be a part of problem aware. It makes more sense for current situation to be treated like a report, right? The first thing that you do when you meet a person that's new, what do? You try to get to know them, right? You can frame current situation as report to make it less salesy. We only start building authority when we start doing the problem aware, right? If our report stage is a lot bigger, obviously we're gonna build more trust. We're gonna build more relatability. Then we have the problem aware phase where they're gonna be already opened up, already trust you as a person to make problem aware a lot easier. It doesn't change too much in terms of the way that we're setting now, but having more emphasis on current situation, which we don't do, is so important, right? How can we know where they wanna be, or what are they getting to, or what are their current problems if we don't do current situation? We can't instantly ask them what the problem is and give them advice. Then it's not specific. Then we're basically giving information like it's free, right? The whole idea is that you give free information and their cost is opening up to you. And because they open up to you, you leverage that and you get them booked on a call. I wrote down the 5 most important things of B2B setting. Right, we have to understand that the difference between speaking to business owners and speaking to B2C is the intention. Behind every single attention, you have to realize there should be an emotional appeal. With every single text that you send, it has to have some sort of reason why you're texting them. Because at the end of the day, every single person inside the DMs could just instantly fall off, right? So you have to understand, what am I saying and what am I asking, right? Is it challenging something? Is it building curiosity? Is it striking an emotion? Is it funny, right? Is it funny? Is it sad? Does it make him angry, right? We have to think about this because every single lead inside the B2B conversation, they're busy. Imagine you're speaking to a business owner that works 12-hour days and you want to get on a conversation with him for 6 hours. That takes a lot of fucking time. We have to stop treating these B2B leads like they're just random people. Unless obviously you're targeting low-level B2B, then it's a whole different story. But even then, every single text should have intention. Authority, push and pull. Authority is built throughout. Start friendly, but don't be scared to call people out towards the end of the conversation. When I see a conversation, what I have to see, the change in tonality is that we start off very friendly. We start off like we want to be friends with them. And then we switch it up when we start doing pain digging to show them that we are an authority and we can start coaching inside the DMs. If they're making excuses, call them out. If they're making stupid reasons why they're not making business, just call them out. Don't be scared. Remember, you're the offer holder, right? Genuine interest in tonality. Same thing again. Understanding drop off. This is what I was talking about. When you review your conversations, you have to make sure you see which moment inside the conversation did the lead drop off. When I say drop off, that means being more dry or stopped opening up or acted like he kind of let go of the conversation. That's when you fucked up, right? That exact question or that exact moment is the reason why this conversation didn't book in or this lead didn't close. And we also have the constant review and framework change. Evolving markets, changing leads, warmth of lead changes because of content. New leads are coming in. How are they different to the previous leads? Because of that, we have to keep reviewing the questions that we're saying and changing our framework as well. Any questions?
When you're calling them out, is there like a limit to that? Like as in, is there a limit to the point where they can get put off?
No. I'd say this is towards the end of the conversation. Most of the time when you're calling out, you have to be very, very careful, right? An example of this is someone is doing, let's say they're posting the wrong type of content, right? Instead of saying like, bro, that content is shit, what you have to be saying is like, oh, I'm happy that works for you. But what I tend to see works better for my clients is this, this, and this. So we're not technically disagreeing with them, but we are calling them out in a way that they should be trying a different solution. For example, we put up a client case study at the same time we're saying it. We tell them like, you know, we have a similar person in the exact same niche and they're making 30K while the lead is making 4K. Then obviously our solution is a lot better because the proof is in the pudding, right? Let's move on to the actual Convo reviews. Give me context in terms of this lead.
He's traveling. He comes from Australia, and it was a new follow.
Okay. And how long did it take you to actually book this guy? This is when the report sounds like it's report. Haha, nice sounds like a great place to live. Like, would you say that in a conversation? Bro, I just went to Phuket. Oh, this looks nice. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a nice, great place to live, bro. You know, how do you afford that? What type of business are you in to afford so much traveling? If we have inside a conversation, it sounds so awkward, right? The questioning is right. The questioning is right, don't get me wrong, right? But I feel like in terms of the tonality, you should have asked it in a lot better way that it, you know, it just sounds more natural, right? This sounds like, oh, cool, you know? Oh, that's so nice, bro. By the way, how much do you make? You know, that's what it sounds like. That's the tonality that it's giving. If we changed it up, we can be like, oh, that looks so beautiful. You know, oh, bro, that looks so beautiful. I definitely have to go there next time I go to Southeast Asia. The change in tonality, even though it's just a few words, it changes the emotion so much. And instead of what do you do to be able to afford traveling this much, brother? These are like, actually the question is not too bad. It's just like afford traveling this much. I would have asked the question is like, what do you do? You know? Or like, if you can tell from his business or anything, what does this lead do? Is he already a coach or he's doing something
He was
else?
just traveling.
He was just traveling.
He quit his 9 to 5.
Okay, I would have asked something like, are you there for work or just traveling? And then after that, I would ask him what he does. Because obviously that's a qualifying question, right? If we framed it first and then moved on to the next, it's gonna be a lot more natural. Oh fuck, I forgot about the Muay Thai. Well, you forgot that Thailand has Muay Thai. The Thai is in the Muay Thai. We could have just said like, well, Muay Thai is crazy, bro. I definitely want to train there or something. I have a friend that goes to Thai and trains Muay Thai. More relation. The acknowledgement so far sounds like forced, you know? The tonality isn't there. Doesn't sound like you're actually trying to speak to him. He's like, yo, cool, bro, cool, bro. Anyways, how much money are you making in your business right now? You know, that's what it sounds like. The acknowledgement isn't there. It sounds very awkward acknowledgement. You know, it's just there because of a small talk. When people can figure out small talk, they're gonna fall off. I mean, does he post out videos about content, like about fitness?
No, he just had a nice physique.
I think I would have brought up like, bro, you have such a nice physique. I thought you'd be a coach, haha, right? And then he'd be something like, oh yeah, I do wanna get into fitness. It would have made him move the conversation, transition to himself.
Oh, he was making fitness content.
Okay, then-
just like general, like first muscle up.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have brought it up here then. It would have made the transition a lot better. Because obviously you're saying anything you can go for in the near future, that's so vague. Then you have to transition it again. We have to be a lot more specific. A current situation questionnaire would have been a lot better. The whole idea is that we want to make sure that we're talking about him. He's just opened up something that it sounds like he's so passionate about, right? So ask him more questions about how he's getting to that, right? From there, we can understand his current situation more, right? We could have asked him like, oh, what has he done so far? Oh, how come he hasn't started yet? You know? This question doesn't necessarily mean anything yet. We could have moved this into painstaking, right? I mean, bro, you got the job. I'm sure it sells high. How come you want to transition to fitness? What was the point of asking this? Like, what did you want to get out of him? Was it like a money thing?
What's their why?
And every single time you ask them why in the very beginning of the conversation, what did they say? I want to help people out. I want to help as many people as I can. I want to pursue something that I love. It's always the same shit over and over again. There's no point of asking that question. We just wasted a question, right? If we asked this a lot later on, then it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
Again, you should have done, what have you done so far? Then ask, what's your goal? Then ask, what's been holding you back?
Yeah.
The what have you done so far frames it to tell them like, it's a finance question, or what's your financial goal for the next 6 months? Or what are you trying to get at in the next 6 months? Or bring up Q1 and Q2 so you can kind of insinuate that it's a financial question. Again, we're asking the same questions. The lead can drop off from here, right? Like, why is this guy asking me so much? And like, even just doing this, bro, it's like over salesy. We don't ever have to say that. The lower the expectations that they have when they get into the actual program, we're gonna exceed the expectations. The sky is the limit. I assume you always get this. A way to reframe this is like, what I tend to see is like people who succeed, blah, 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 blah. If you wanted to make it sound like it's a very small deal, then we're like, how come only 5K? Most people that I speak to want to make 20K. Is that your final goal? Then we could have gotten there without asking multiple questions. Only 20K a month, that's achievable 100%. Again, we don't have to be doing this. Other than the location freedom, what would hitting 20K a month personally do for you, brother? I don't like this question. It's so salesy. We didn't understand his current situation. Remember when I was talking about how important current situation is? We kind of moved into problem aware so quickly, right? How much is he making currently? How far away is he from that goal, right? Because now he just randomly said a number and you took it and you're like, oh, why exactly that number? After you literally told him, like, that should be higher. Yeah, exactly. He's just making up a number. He hasn't even thought about it. Why don't we ask him, why does he want to make 5K? Why is 5K good for him? How much is he making currently? Then we can also qualify deeper. And let's say you've got the properties, location freedom, and scaling over 20K months. What would that mean for you personally? You said that twice. If we're going to regurgitate the previous question, we have to make sure we change the format. Because then they can feel that we're pushing them towards an answer, right? And that's what we're doing. Instead of what's stopping you from starting right now, how come you haven't started? We should have asked, the main question that's missing here is what have you done so far? And if they say, I haven't done anything yet, how come? Right? Is it not a priority for you right now? How are you making money inside Thailand? Right? Obviously he's traveling, he doesn't have a source of income, then we have to know how is he actually making money. That builds a natural urgency. Okay, I wouldn't have brought up a client case study here. Instead, I would have tied this down. I would have made sure I spoke to them first. I would have said something like, first of all, that's not true. Have you even started XYZ? Then we could have said, yeah, I have, but I haven't been getting any leads. Yeah, I have because of this, this, and this. Yeah, I have, but nobody has inbounded to me, right? Then we know that's the problem. Right? Then we start putting, yeah, bro, that's not true. It's just the way that you're posting all your content, right? I had the exact same situation with my client XYZ. And what we did was we changed this, this, and this. And he, with only a few hundred followers, 50 followers, he ended up making however much. That would have been a lot more powerful because now we know what the actual situation is. Then we know he's not starting. It's not that he's not started, but he isn't doing it right. You're just adding G to make it sound casual. The question itself is not casual. It's like we're spamming G just to make sure that, oh yeah, that sounds a lot cooler. There's no point of saying the G. I would have responded to this differently. Building out a first few clients is good, but what tends to happen with the people that I've worked with is that free clients never put in the work because it's free. Why do you think you can't start charging yet? Or why haven't you started charging yet? Then they're like, oh yeah, because I don't have enough client results. That's the limiting belief, bro. The reason why they're bringing up different types of objections is because we didn't tie this down. I would have pitched way earlier, bro. I don't know why you sent over this and it became such a long conversation. We could have pitched way earlier. We forgot the structure in this conversation. You see how you're tending to get lost. You're mixing it up. The conversations take longer than usual. Then you spend so much effort into this lead and you're making like what? 3.5. You're making $125 for this long ass conversation of 2 weeks. Remember, every single question needs intention. The reason why we're circling back is because we don't have intention. We didn't know what questions to ask next. Every single time a lead responds, you have to know the 3 questions you're gonna ask. Because at the end of the day, whatever question you ask, you know what the answer is gonna be. What does this offer holder do?
So he does content for, I want to say, agencies.
So he has his own content agency.
Yes.
And you're trying to sell someone content to a person who already knows content.
Yes.
Oh, so why are we doing that?
And he also wasn't ICP even because he was from India.
You're telling me all of this. How long did you spend this conversation?
Like too long.
like way too long.
I'm confused. Bro, that's the whole process of, I'm not even going to review this conversation, bro. This is like a waste of time. First of all, he's from a third world country, he's disqualified. He does content, again, disqualified, right? He's already working with other people, he probably has no money. You're just wasting your time. Not only are you wasting your time, but you're wasting your offer holders' time. They're not paying you or they're not trusting you inside the business just to speak to disqualified leads. Remember, from every single minute that you wasted here, you lost a ton of money. If you spent enough effort inside this conversation with another person who's qualified, you would have made money. You would have made the offer holder money, right? These silly mistakes, they sound silly and it sounds funny, but at the end of the day, you're wasting someone else's business potential, right? Instead of being someone who fixes a bottleneck, you are being the bottleneck, right? I know it's been 6 days, but this is stupid, bro. There's literally no point, bro. 2 disqualifications. We're just being a lazy setter. Bro, you're wasting your time. Speak to actual people who actually will make you money. Remember, you're not just working for yourself now, especially since it is a performance style job. If you want to be making money, make sure that every single hour that you put into it is somewhat profitable. Bro, visual qualification is the most important. And this is stupid because if you're visually qualified, he's from a third world country and he does content. Those are 2 things that we don't sell to. Imagine someone who runs a setting coaching business. Try to set me.
Yeah.
It's a waste of fucking time, right? There's no point. But this is actually genuinely crazy. I can't be sent over a conversation with the DQ lead, bro. Lock in, man.
It was like the longest one I've had.
Yeah, that's the stupidest shit. You had the longest conversation with someone that's not gonna make you any money.